Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. I'm so glad you're here. Well, what's going on today? Well, markets are closed, right? It's Good Friday. No trading today. I want to wish everybody a happy Good Friday, a long Easter weekend. Happy Easter to you all before I forget to do that. So what do we got going on? Well, we got the markets continuing to press higher, right? Now, here's an interesting piece of trivia. The day before a 3-day weekend, anytime the market is closed that extra day on the weekend, you have a 3-day weekend, right? No trading for 3 days. Anytime that happens, there's an 80% chance of an up day the day going into the 3-day weekend. And there's also an 80% chance of a down day on the day after a 3-day weekend. Just a little bit of trivia there for you. Now, I want to talk about like the Moon Boys. The Moon Boys think this is going up, right? They're going to think it's going straight up. They have 6 months up. Let's have a 7th or 8th, whatever. Okay, well, you got this other guy on the opposite end of that. His name's Warren Buffett, right? Now, Warren Buffett sitting on about $150 billion in cash. Now, the Moon Boys, they would tell you that Warren is just a complete idiot, a complete utter fool. He could be making all of this easy money in the stock market right now while he's sitting on $150 billion in cash. Now, Warren Buffett trades by what's known as the Buffett indicator. Now, the Buffett indicator is the total U.S. stock market value over the GDP, right? Okay, so the stock market value compared to the GDP. Now, when the market is at a normal valuation, that would be at 100%, right? Well, right now we're over 190%, almost 200%. What this means is for the market to get back to a normal valuation, the stock market would have to come down by 50%. Now, they're trying to get that 40,000 print on the Dow Jones. And the Dow Jones did print 40,000 on the futures contract. So we do have a 40,000 print on the futures contract, and we'll probably get the 40,000 print on the regular Dow Jones. But for this to come back to a normal valuation, you'd have to bring the Dow Jones from 40,000 down to 20,000. Now, this is not me saying this. This is a guy named Warren Buffett. Now, he didn't get to be Warren Buffett by following the Moon Boys. Matter of fact, he pretty much became Warren Buffett by doing the opposite of everything the Moon Boys say. So I'm just telling you that you might want to be careful here. We're in this everything bubble, where everything's a bubble, that these prices could drop by as much as 50%. Okay, let's get over to the other side of the market, the real estate side of things, and the general economy. Now, I don't know why I don't believe mainstream media. I mean, mainstream media keeps screaming at me how great the economy is. I mean, this economy is just booming. We've never had such a good economy. Bidenomics, it's the best thing we've ever seen. Now, why is it that I don't believe them? Well, let's talk about this a little bit. First of all, is the government got any money? No, they don't. Government is flat broke, $35 trillion in debt, paying $1 trillion a year just on the interest. That's soon going to be $2 trillion a year just on the interest once things start to roll over. Okay, now what about zombie companies? Zombie companies are companies that don't bring in enough cash flow to pay the interest payment on their debt. Well, out of the S&P 500, you have over 100 companies that are zombie companies. Now, a gentleman left me a comment in my comment section saying that we need a recession, that a recession would be a good thing. And I tend to agree with that, but nobody wants to feel pain, because what any recession does, it gets rid of the bad investments. The companies that should not be in business, that have a bad business model, would have to go out of business. But right now we don't do that. We keep loaning them money. We keep creating more and more debt. And corporations are in the maximum amount of debt they've ever been in. But if you wipe out 20% of the zombie companies, which a recession and a depression will eventually do. You see, this will not go on forever. So you take away those 20% of companies, you're going to lose a lot of jobs. You're going to you're going to have an unemployment rate that's going to be well north of 10%, right? When the unemployment rate gets north of 10%, what happens? Well, people can't make their mortgage payment. What do? They actually put their house onto the market for sale. So houses will start to come down. But Mike, there's been no crash yet. The market's not coming down. And so far you can get pretty close to the prices that Billy Bob got. But here's what's interesting. All right, so the new market, new construction, companies like Toll Brothers, companies like Lennar, companies like Pulte Homes. These companies, their stocks seem to be holding up pretty well, but they're actually in a little bit of trouble. And you can see the real estate, residential housing market starting to crash into new construction. Now, if the economy was so great, if the economy is the best we ever had, how come new home prices on new construction are down 16% year over year? Okay, now I got one closing in July. I just recently sold one and they're building it. And I think they're building these homes too fast. They sold it to my client and they're getting it built. It's not built yet. I've seen a picture of it. It's barely even close to being done yet, but they got it ready for them by this July. See, I think they're building too fast. Now, when you go on a review site like Yelp, you can type in like Toll Brothers or Lennar, and you can bring up the home reviews of people that have bought these homes. And actually, it's quite frightening. They all average about 1 star, 1 out of 5, 1 star. That's what they average in these new home builders. It's crazy. I mean, you should read some of these reviews. I mean, quite fascinating. Every faucet in the house is now leaking. This guy just bought it. The appliances, they don't work. The windows, they don't open or close, okay? And the doors, they get jammed. If you close the door, you got to tug on it to bring it back. This is a brand new house, right? This is brand new. Look at my advice for you. Bring a home inspector to inspect the house before you sign off on the final sign off. You know what? The builders, they won't let you bring in a home inspector until you sign off. It's their house until then. They won't allow it. I think this is grounds for, I don't know, a way to get out of a contract. You want to get out of a contract? Bring in the home inspector. He'll tell you all the stuff that's wrong, but also some of the sales tactics that are being reported. And I see these firsthand. I've been involved in some of these sales tactics. But would I short the home builders here? Would I sell their stock short? No. Why? Well, because in July, I think the home builders are no longer going to have to pay real estate agents. Right now, I get paid, right? I get paid to bring my client in and go, here's my client. They'd like to buy your house. I get paid by the home builder, 2%, 3%, whatever they're offering. But okay, $1 million house, I'll pick up a quick 30 grand and I don't do anything. They won't let me do anything. They won't even let me go in with my client to inspect the house. We had to get a special permission for that at Lennar Homes. I don't understand that. I kind of threw a little tizzy fit right in their office and we weren't leaving until I got to go inside the property. Well, they bring out the head guy. The head guy calls the main office. And finally, I get to go into the property, but they don't want me to talk. They don't want me to talk at that point. It's the final walkthrough for my client. This is an old one. I have a new one now with Lennar, and I'm going to be paid on that one in July, hopefully. But anyways, I think they're building these too fast, but they're coming crashing down, right? Okay, so my client, they bought it. It was originally listed up here at 720. They cut that price by 60 grand. I don't even know what that is. I don't know, almost 10% right off the top. I mean, that was just the starting point. You know what else they did? They threw in $40,000 of upgrades. 40,000, cut at 60, threw in 40. That's 100 grand on a $720,000 house. That's a lot of chopping, right? Oh, and here's what else they're doing. They're buying down their mortgage for them. Oh, fascinating. So they're saying that new homes have gone down by 16%. I think it's much worse than that. I think it's closer to 26%. That would be my take. But anyways, that's where the home crash is starting in the new homes. Now, why is it not in the regular homes yet? Well, because the inventory is not there. And we talked about that. The inventory is going to come when that unemployment shoots up. When we get that recession, when the zombie companies go away, we're going to get some unemployment numbers, and it's going to be north of 10%. A lot of people aren't going to like that. But here's the other thing. Americans, they're out of money. They're out of money. I mean, you can tell just by what they're making. You see, the buyers are no longer strong. They're 50% debt to income ratios to buy a house now. That's getting to be the norm. Oh my goodness, this is not sustainable. What else do we got going on? We still have inflation out there. Inflation's coming out. The rates are keeping them up, and they're going to cut them soon because the banks are insolvent. But let's talk a little bit about inflation. They cut them, inflation's going to go up. But this is the greatest economy ever. Just listen to mainstream media. I don't know why I don't believe it. Why can't I just accept that? Why can't I come on here and tell you this is the great time to buy like every other real estate broker does, right? Why can't I say that? Because in my conscience, it wouldn't be the right thing to say. Now, if you want to go out and buy a house, just take my word. I've warned you. Feel free to do it, though. It's your money. It's going to be your house. You can go out and buy right now. But I really think we're coming down. I think the stock market, 50% off. That's Warren Buffett talking. I'm talking the housing market, 40% off. A lot of people think I'm too conservative. But here's the thing. They tell us that the economy's doing so great. It's doing so great, Tall Mike. It's the best ever. We got Bidenomics. People are making more money than they've ever made before. And I agree with that. That's true. But here's the thing. They can't pay their bills. They don't make enough to pay their bills. Yes, they're making more money, but their bills are way up here, way higher, gone up more than their raise on their job. Yeah, they're making more money and they like to brag about that, but they can't pay their bills. What else is inflation? Well, inflation is just a flat out tax, right? In the last 3 years, they've stolen 20%. 20% of every dollar you earn, 20% of every dollar you have saved, 20% of every dollar you spend. They've stolen that from you. It's a tax. It's outright theft. It's called the printing of money. When they print money, every dollar bill loses purchasing power. In the last 3 years, lost 20%. It's gone away. You're never going to get it back, never going to see it. Now, okay, so it's the everything tax. But what else does it do? What else does inflation do? Well, they'll tell you you're going to make more money on your job. Well, what does that do? Well, it puts you into a higher tax bracket. So it increases the tax revenues. Not only is it a tax on everything, then they increase your taxes. This inflation is dangerous, and we're about ready to hyperinflate. Now, why do I say we're going to hyperinflate? Well, they could do the right thing and stop printing money, but once you start printing money, you can't stop. Once QE1 started back in 2008 or something, maybe it was 2009, once it started, we've had QE 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many QEs. They changed the name. We call it stimulus now. They changed the name. We call it the spending bill now. They changed the name. We call it universal basic income. Change the name, but they're just printing money. And once they start, they cannot stop. The reason they can't stop, as soon as they lay down the law that you can't print one more dollar, what happens to the house of cards? House of cards comes tumbling down. Your house will be lucky if it only loses 50%. Stock market will be lucky if it only loses 50%. They have to keep printing money. They have to create more debt. More debt, more debt, more debt. Now, how are they going to create more debt? I think they're going to send us to war. I really think they do. Now, they say we're not in war now. We're only paying for the wars, paying for 2 of them right now. But I think we'll get the 3rd one going when we're paying for 3 of them. We might as well just jump in and say we're at war. And I think that's the direction we're headed. Now, that's probably not going to happen next week, but it could. It could happen next week. But they need more debt. They need to keep the printing presses going. Otherwise, this house of cards comes down. And war is a great thing, a great excuse to have more debt come out, right? More debt, more debt, more debt. The people need more debt because then they can go out and spend at the Walmart, spend at the Target, spend on Amazon. If the people can increase their debt limits, see, debt limits are inflationary. A lot of people don't see that. They think just printing money is inflationary. When you increase the debt of someone, that's inflationary. They have more money to spend, chasing a limited supply of goods. It's inflationary. It makes the prices go up. So they need more debt. All right. So the corporations, what do they need? They need more debt. More debt, more debt. The zombie companies, they got to have more debt. Otherwise, they go out of business. So the corporations need more debt, more debt, more debt. What's the government going to get? More debt, more debt. You think they're going to stop at 35 trillion? Does anyone think they're going to stop at 40 trillion? Does anyone think they're going to stop at 50 trillion? If you do, please leave a comment. Now, I don't know exactly where it blows up. I don't know what the ending number is going to be, but it's, maybe it's before 50 trillion. Maybe it's after. What's Fed got on their balance sheet now? 8, 9 trillion? That's going to go well north of 20 trillion, well north, if we don't blow up before then. But we could stop all this. You pass a law where you can't print money anymore. I know it's Good Friday. I didn't mean to scare anybody. I didn't mean to get carried away. Everybody get out there. Have a great Easter. I'm Tall Mike. Happy Easter, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week. Give me the thumbs up. Punch the subscribe button. Bye-bye now.